Good evening, everybody. Today is Sunday, March 22nd. This show that you are watching is called The Night Owl, and my name is Isaiah Jolly. Reason I started this channel is because I wanted to create an awesome channel where people would enjoy, that I would enjoy, talking to people, and it's been on my heart for a few years now. But as of recently, I've decided to actually make it, start it, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But before I get into that, I want to tell you guys a little bit about what the channel is and what we're going to be doing. I want this to be a major channel, and I'm going to grow it and build it and do everything that I can to make this thing. But I'm going to be honest and genuine with you guys, bringing you guys top stories from politics to celebrities to social media to worlds, whatever the case may be. Not too much in sports, but maybe occasionally. But things that are going on in the world today, and I'm going to give you a new perspective on it. Maybe it's something new to you, and maybe it's not, but it's going to be a perspective, and it's going to be my truth, the truth that I see it being. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. And just because I'm honest and have an opinion doesn't mean that opinion is forever. It may change if I'm presented with new information, but for right now, these are the things that I believe. And as the channel progresses, it may change, but we're going to go with it and float with it as the river goes. So again, I'm Isaiah Jolly, and this is The Night Owl. So again, Sunday, March 22nd, and this is the first episode, episode 1. I got to thinking earlier, and I was like, what could I make this channel about? What could what would be the first episode? And really, I have to get into Iran. This is what pushed me over the limit with everything. This is what pushed me over and made me say, what is going on with people? Iran. So, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a war going on across the ocean right now in Iran. And what pushed me over the limit is we have people in our own country saying things like, oh, rooting for Iran. Oh my God, Iran. Stop being a little bitch. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that, okay? You know what? Anybody who wants to root for Iran that lives in this country should be deported immediately. Revoke their citizenship. I don't care if they were born here, because that's not how I was raised, okay? You know what? Everybody wants to blame this thing on Israel. Oh my God, Israel's doing this. Israel's doing that, okay? Israel controls the media. Last time I checked, I was watching the media. I was watching Netflix. I was watching Paramount. Okay? So when people want to say things, Israel controls the sport. Israel controls the banks. Pull out your phone. Are you using the bank? Why are you got to blame Israel for everything, but yet you want to use them for everything? You know what? There's Muslims that don't use Israel's products. There's Christians that don't use Israel's products. It's called the Amish. So if you don't like them that much and you hate them, then maybe stop using their products. That's how I feel about it. And you know what? Let's stop blaming Israel for every single problem that we have in this country. I'm not sitting here dick riding Israel or meat riding Israel. No. I'm looking at it logically and saying, you know what? Maybe some of the things that the people are saying that are on that extreme red pill, right? Or anti-Semitic rage, maybe some of the things that they're saying are true. Unfortunately, maybe some of them are, maybe they do control these things. Maybe they do have a lot of power. But, let's look at it. Are they doing a good job with it? Okay, maybe there's a case be made. Maybe there's a case be made that they're not doing a good job of it. We're going to get into that stuff down the road in more episodes. We're going to actually dial in all the things that come into play when we're looking at this idea and where it comes from, where it stems from. But today, it's just a little bit of the overview, and we're just going to get into an idea of what's been going on in the world today. Because what I've been seeing is a ton of anti-Semitic things rising at a number that it's insane. I mean, people are becoming so anti-Semitic, and, I'm not a Jew. I don't have anything against the Jews. But I do see with some of the things that they're saying, but at the same time, I don't see this stuff. I don't see this, At this point, they've now blamed Israel for this war. They've blamed Israel for everything going on in Iran. Everything that's been problem with our economy, the problem that we've had in our country is a blame for Israel. And it's like, at some point, when are we going to take accountability? We voted these people in. That's on us. It's not on Israel, okay? Number two, when it comes to Iran, all right, I don't really care if Israel wants it done. This is part of their greater Israel thing. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. You know why? Because Iran is not a good guy. They're not good, decent people, okay? Used to be a thing around where you go, oh, that's a decent person. Those are fine, decent people. You can't say that about Ayatollah. You can't say that about Khamenei. Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. You can't. And what sickens me is you have these people like Sneaky, or what some people call Sneeko, but Sneaky, this guy named Sneaky, he's going around promoting anti-Semitic rage, blaming Israel for everything, and promoting anti-Semitism, promoting anarchy in the streets, hatred towards our country, and realistically mutiny. And I hear words coming out of his mouth and others in the community, and they're saying things like, I want Iran to win this war. America's dumb. And I have to think in my head, I'm like, oh my God, somebody should just beat the shit out of this person in broad daylight for all of us to see. Because the amount of mutiny and treasonous scum is insane to me. How people can literally go against our own. You live in this country, you're rooting for another country when it comes to war. You shouldn't be allowed to live here, bud. And if I was president, I'd kick you out. Because you know what? Maybe I'm just old school. Maybe I was raised in a different generation. I don't know. But where I'm from, it doesn't matter if my brother does something, you know what I mean? I'm going to stand up for my brother no matter what. I don't care who started it. I'm going to finish it. And I ride or die with my clan. Okay? And my clan is America, the United States. I'm not with another country. And the problem is you got people in our own country that have allegiances to a different country, or I hate to say it, to a religion. And the thing is, everybody wants to put blame on the Jews, but they're not the only religion out there that has these problems, okay? There's also the Muslims, all right? And I have Muslim friends. They're not going to like hearing this, but it's the truth, okay? If you have an allegiance to something else over your own country, you don't belong here. And that's my opinion. That's my thought process. And, I'm sick of the complaining. I'm sick of the people becoming weak, in our society becoming weak. We have men out here blaming, oh, Israel's doing this, and they're promoting feminism. So let me get this straight. Israel's the reason that you don't have a woman? Israel's the reason you don't got a bitch? That's what it is? Yeah? Oh my, is Israel, the economy, Israel's the reason you don't got cheese? You know how I look at it? If Israel's in control of everything, then you know what? Why don't I work with them to get rich? Why don't I work with them to put myself in the right scenario to have money, to be in the good life, instead of looking at it like, oh my God, Israel. Yeah, I'm sick of hearing people complain and cry about Israel. And I don't like them as much as the next guy. I don't. But at some point, I have to look at them as a strategic ally and look at them, if they're helping us in the war and they are fighting with us, sending missiles and planes, then yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, then I got to be with them. Because if you help us, then you got my back, I got your back. That's how I look at it. This isn't, and the problem is why a lot of people can't see it, especially the Muslims, because they look at it on a religious mindset. To them, they're still stuck in this religious thing, and they believe that this is a holy war between the Muslims and the Jews, when it's not a holy war. In fact, this is going to be over shortly. Likely, I believe it's going to be over very shortly. And in fact, there's really nothing left of the Iranian regime. They've really been dismantled quite a bit. And by dismantled, I mean killed. But they fucked around and found out. I mean, and I'm not going to meat ride Trump, but one of the coolest things that he said was, hey, you know what? You can surrender now, give up everything that you have to us, or face certain death. Now, you know what? I don't know a single president in the history of America that was willing to put a stand on something like that. And that's not to mention the other stuff. We'll get to that later. But, there's something to be said about that. But it sickens me. It sickens my heart to see young men and women in the streets today that are treasonous scum. Cowardice, treasonous scum. And the crazy thing, I don't say these things out of anything. I don't say these things just to say these things. You can ask any one of my friends that knows me personally or my family, and they know that if this thing got serious enough, I would indeed enlist in this war. Okay? I'm 28. I can't draft anymore. Draft goes from 17 to 25. Okay? I'm 28. I'm no longer eligible for the draft. But if it got serious enough, I would indeed enlist because I care about this country and I care about the people in this country and my own family. But people won't look at it the other way. People will say, you know what? I'm not going to fight a war for Israel. It's not really a war for Israel because when we really break it down, and in other episodes, I'm going to actually go into details on this stuff and give you hard numbers. Right now, it's just kind of giving you an idea of what we're talking about. But just to give you an idea, okay, we don't need Israel for this. Israel could have never even been involved, and I would have signed off on this. Israel could have never even been involved, and I would have said, this is a great thing that Trump is doing. And you know why? Because it really doesn't matter if Israel says they got nukes or not. The reality is they were building them, okay? They wouldn't be enriching uranium if they weren't trying to have nukes, okay? That's how it works. So at the end of the day, they were trying to do something. They were trying to build nukes. Another thing, they've screamed death to America, okay? Multiple times. Furthermore, they've said death to Trump. They've talked about assassinations of Trump. They said that they wanted to assassinate Trump. They've came out and made videos using CGI showing an assassination of Trump. You know what? To me, if let's look at if the roles were reversed. What would happen if the roles were reversed? Let's just say a person did that to the Ayatollah who is now deceased. They would get their heads chopped off. They would be thrown into prison or dead. Most likely dead. Likely, I would say 99% probably dead. And on a principle standpoint, if this was a gangster movie and we were talking about Tony Montana here, okay, he would be killed for what he said. He said too much. He had to go. He had to go. It was his time, okay? It was time for Christmas to get canceled for him. It was time for, guess what? The Ayatollah's not showing up to Ramadan this year, okay? And at the end of the day, I don't feel bad for it. I don't feel bad for it because at the end of the day, he killed thousands of Americans on his orders. And you know what? I don't believe in supremacy. I don't believe in that kind of junk. And that's why I don't get down with the Jewish mindset, the Talmudic Jewish mindset of supremacy, or the white supremacy mindset, or the Muslim supremacy mindset. I don't look at any of those mindsets as a smart philosophy. My mindset is that all people are created equally. That's what I believe. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. I follow Jesus Christ. And I believe that all people were created equally. That's what it says in the Bible. And so when it comes to this stuff, I'm not with none of that stuff. But I'm also not with Iran and what they're doing. I can't be down with that. I can never defend my own enemy to the country I live in. Because the reality is if our enemy wins, we lose. Okay? Iran's already talked about and made claims that they're going to send missiles to the United States, hitting places like California. It's not far-fetched. In fact, the President of the United States, DJT, Donald, Big Don, he said that they could hit the U.S. So let's put that into consideration. I'm looking, okay? Let's take notes, okay? We got Iran saying that they can hit the U.S., Trump saying they can hit the U.S. Let's do the math. If Iran wins, they're hitting the U.S. Wow. Crazy. Yet people are like, no, you're scum. If you support this war, you're a scumbag. No, I'm just not a liberal retard, okay? I actually understand that, some things are good for the world and good for America. Regardless of if Israel is involved in this or not, this is a good thing for everybody, okay? They killed thousands of Americans. Iran has sponsored every single terrorist regime basically known to mankind. Okay? I mean, I can go down the list. Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis. I mean, the list goes on and on. So at the end of the day, I mean, no, we're not going to sit there and be like, yeah, this is a bad thing. No, this is a good thing. And the reality is they need to play ball with us or it will get ugly. And this is how it's going to go. So I just want you guys to know that you have a voice and you have an opinion and you have a thought process. And you're not crazy for thinking the way that you're thinking. You're not. Okay, there's other people like you thinking the exact same way. There's other people realizing, you know what, I'm not going to be called names for supporting my own country. I'm not going to be called names for being a patriot to my own country. I'm not going to be called names for rooting for our side to win when we're in a war. Okay? If we're in a war, you don't root for the other side to win. If my family gets into a brawl with another family at the bar, I'm not going to be like, oh, the other guy should win. No, I'm not going to be like, oh, who started it? Oh, well, your friend started it. I don't care who started it. If my family's in a brawl, I'm in the brawl. If my family's in the brawl, I want my family to win the brawl. If my country's in the war, I want my country to win the war. I don't care about the other country. I don't care how it started. I could care less how. We're past the starting point. Everybody goes, oh, it starts way back then. Well, you got to look at, Iran says these things because, look at America and what they've done in the Middle East. They're all in the Middle East for all these years, and they're giving money to Israel. So, are we supposed to listen to them tell us that we can't send our money to Israel? Yeah, I'm not in favor of sending money to Israel either. But if, as America, as the country leader, as Trump or whoever it is, if they want to send money to whoever they can, that's their right. We elected them to do that job. And no country has any business telling us where we can spend our money. So no, I'm not going to get down with that. And they're not going to start a war with us or say death to America because we choose to send our money to somebody, even if I disagree with it. So no, you're not a coward. You're not a messed up thing. The real cowards are the people who are sitting here in this country reaping the benefits, rooting for another country to win. In my opinion, there needs to be a law because the reality is I looked up the definition of treason, high treason in this country. It's comforting the enemy, promoting the enemy, helping the enemy. Go down the list. Anybody supporting Iran is a treasonous scum. That's the reality of it. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not supporting Iran. I just don't think we should be in this war because we're fighting for Israel. Grow up, okay? It's not about Israel anymore, okay? This is about us. If this helps Israel, great. If it helps us, that's what matters. That's why we're doing it, okay? It's helping us. And it's helping the world too, because you realize Saudi Arabia is getting in line. They're joining us. Europe is joining us. Canada has joined us. Basically, everybody's joining us. And now with the Strait of Hormuz, China is likely to join us very shortly. And because their oil is being tapped, it's being squeezed. And so now they're looking at it like, hey, we got to play ball with the U.S. So what's funny is this isn't looking good for Iran or anybody. It's only looking good for us because we're going to reap the benefits of this. And how I see it is that we're in control. America is number one, and that's just how it is. And I think Trump has really shown that. He's really put his foot down to build strength for our country. And like I said, I'm not trying to meat ride. I don't want to meat ride, okay? But he has put his foot down, and I think that he's built strength in the region, peace through strength. And I don't think that we're going to be having issues from other countries moving forward because of this move. I think it was a good move. I think it builds strength, builds confidence, builds fear in other countries to realize, hey, you know what? You don't want to play ball with us? Then we're going to go in and help you out. Oh, you don't want to play ball with us? Looks like your people don't like the way that they're being treated. You don't want to play ball with us? Looks like you're a terrorist. No, that sounds really terrible, but no, I don't actually mean it like that. What I really mean is this, is that these people actually are terrorists. They've done terrible things. Now, some people could say from the opposite side that America is the real terrorist. And you know what? I don't know all the details. I don't know every detail. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I can't say any points to that. But what I can say is I live in this country, and I support this country, right or wrong. That's how it works. A ride or die with my own, okay? And that's the kind of principle I am. That's how I live by. So, no, I'm not with Iran at all. And so, today was my first episode. I just wanted to let you guys know kind of what I was talking about. Today it was about Iran and why Iran and what's going on with this situation. So bear with me. Thank you guys for listening. And this is the first of many. First of many. I'm going to keep it consistent. Every Sunday I'm going to be getting out to you guys with a fresh take on something that's going on in the world that's important. And eventually I'll be gradually moving it into more episodes. But this is, again, The Night Owl, and I'm your host, Isaiah Jolly. Have a good night.